With the Visigoth army claiming Rome as their own, the Roman Empire would have officially collapsed. This was the longest empire ever seen before and since, and due to a long period of bad decisions and bad politicians and above all bad emperors, it would officially come to an end. And what followed after was not pretty to see. Over a period of 400 years known as the Dark Ages, Europe saw essentially a period of stagnation. And while some progress was made, it wasn't just a complete flat line, it was nothing compared with what was to come after it. With the development of the printing press in the 15th century and the investments that were being made into more universities, educating more of the population, Europe and specifically Italy were finally ready for the Renaissance. A period marked by a profound transformation in artistic, cultural, scientific and political thought. In Italy, funded by the Medici family, we saw the rise of beautiful cities like Florence and Venice, whose architecture still remains a worldwide attraction to this day. We saw countless artists get the resources and help they needed to make their potential come to light, such as Donatello, Raphael, Botticelli, Titian, and most notably, Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo. Artists whose works still leave us in awe to this day. But the secret to this wasn't just throwing money at artists. That's not what the Medici family did. Above money, above resources, what they had was a vision that you must adopt as well. One for a society with wise people, a society with magnificent works of art and stunning buildings to look at, a vision of beauty and progress. With the equivalent of $500 million today, they invested. And in what some today would spend on extravagant yachts or maybe even a private island, they ended up changing the trajectory of human history. But don't be fooled, because it wasn't just all fun and games and entertainment, not at all. Behind their vision and what led the vision to become a reality was a disciplined approach, with criteria for the buildings they were building, the art they were commissioning, the pavements they were setting, everything had a purpose. This vision is one they shared with the artists, because it wasn't just about sending money, it was about talking with them, showing interest in the work, going and sharing this vision with them, really making it clear to them that it wasn't just works of art they were creating, there was a higher purpose to it all. Leonardo da Vinci himself ended up living with the family for 5 years, and they would constantly have conversations and discussions and a share of ideas at the dinner table. And this way they ensured that once again they were fully involved with the most prominent artists and inventors and scientists of their time. Now this vision, these rules and this commitment were crucial to make sure that the success of the Renaissance happened. And making the parallel, they're crucial to make sure that your success happens as well. But I'm gonna be honest, this video isn't really about the Renaissance and studying its historical context and the works of art left behind and all that good stuff. And trust me, I'd like to get into that. This video, what it really is about is understanding what made it so successful and how you can apply it to your life. And sure, you may not have a Medici family to give you the resources and the guidance and all that, but for now, you have me for the duration of this video, and most importantly, you have the internet. At your fingertips, you have everything you need. Let's begin. Now, there are 3 main pillars to make sure you enter a period of transformational growth, your own personal renaissance. But before I get into them, it's very important that you understand them. Now, number 1 is the vision, meaning you must have a higher aim than just frivolous pursuits and desires of short-term pleasure and goals. Without this aim, without something higher than yourself to aim at, you're always going to be a bit lost. And you know, you may already be taking care of your body and working out, eating good, maybe you're already pursuing a better career, a better business, a better job, putting effort into that, and if you are, phenomenal. Regardless of that, without the higher aim, without the vision for your, essentially your own personal project, you'll always be a bit like a boat without direction. You're sailing, but you don't truly know where you're going. As Seneca put it, if a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. Number 2 are the rules. These are going to be the guidelines and the strict practice you adhere to make sure that you have the vision and you're moving in the right direction towards that vision. Similar to the Medici, they had all these guidelines for, the type of pavement they wanted, how wide the roads should be, the placement of the buildings, how the arcades should be, everything. Similar to that, you must have as well when fulfilling your vision. Otherwise, you incur the risk of, you know you're trying to go that way, but your efforts are sending you that way. And that is not what you want. The better this is set, the more you'll ensure that the effort you put in is pushing you in the right direction. Final but not least, number 3 is effort. This is the rowing of the boat, so to speak, because with the vision and with the rules to guide you towards that vision, now you have to walk, now you have to row, you really have to put that effort in. We talk a lot about optimization and planning and all these things, and they are very important, but it should never minimize the importance of effort. And if you take this effort, and if you're already putting effort in, and then you combine it, you create the vision, and you get very strict on the guidelines, on the rules to get you there, then you will have entered your own renaissance. A period of essentially transformational growth, exponential growth. You'll move faster than ever before towards your dreams, towards your goals, and you really will feel like you're on the highway to success, for how corny that sounds, put it that way. However, there's one thing you have to keep in mind here, because first of all, if you fail to do all these 3, you're very likely to end up lost, and that's not what we want. But then, before you begin applying them, there's a major obstacle you have to keep in mind, a major potential dragback that if you don't deal with, everything can come crumbling down. Now, before we get onto the specifics on how to master these and how to apply them and really how to make them a part of your life, there's one big problem we have to deal with. One of the biggest factors that led to the Dark Ages and why it took so long to enter the Renaissance was momentum. In other words, a shift and halt in momentum. Now, once the Roman Empire collapsed, all the momentum of prosperity, of richness, all of it came to a halt. And as science tells us, the harder to move an object is when it's stopped, when it has no momentum. And the more momentum it has, the more likely it is to keep it going and for it to keep going.
And it is no different for you. If it feels extra tough and painful in the beginning, well, it's just how it's supposed to go. You put the wrong momentum until now, and it will take some effort to change. Just hopefully not 500 years. It will feel as if you're Sisyphus pushing the rock up the mountain. The only difference being, and a crucial one at that the rock won't fall back down once you get to the top. Then you will have built enough momentum to see it speed down the other end. You will experience exponential growth. But don't get too excited just yet. There's more. One of the biggest issues after that, one a lot of guys experience with personal development, maybe you as well, is how things can turn quite gray. In the sense that days can become a painful routine. All the same, as if you're always eating mashed potatoes. Digestible, but boring and unexciting. You end up doing things that you lose track of why you started doing in the first place. Like a robot who never was given the instruction to stop. You gain the world, but lose yourself. And that is not what you want. You want to get the results you're after and still find joy and beauty in life. You want to wake up excited to face whichever battles are yours to face that day. Like a painter who can't wait to turn their vision to reality. And this is where the 3 pillars of the personal renaissance come in.
At the beginning of the Renaissance, when building Florence, something that becomes immediately apparent is how purposeful everything is. For example, the attention to detail when building public roads, public benches, parks, and my favorite, how a square should be built. For them, a square should be small enough that a mother can call from an upper window to a child playing on the other side. They should have elaborate fountains in the middle, highlighted with fairly simple buildings surrounding it. Finally, they should have arcades so that the people could not only find some shade and heat, but also shelter during rain. And you must be the same with your efforts, as much as possible at least. Otherwise, you incur the risk of starting to build, but leaving no space for the important buildings. So, to align all areas of your efforts, you must envision 3 main things. Body, mind, and spirit. In practical terms, what you'll do for work, what you'll do to stay in shape, what your important relationships will look like, and how your religious/spiritual beliefs will look like and how you live according to them. And while unlike buildings these can be malleable, it is very important that you have a vision for all of them. The ultimate version of your own personal city. What I suggest for this is that you sit down and write about it. Really put your dreams into paper, and for this, leave realism out of it. Write about how it looks, how it feels, how it smells, how you feel about it, your days, your nights, your mornings, everything. Put as much detail as you can into it. Really create a picture for yourself. I'll leave below a link to some questions to help you with this and to guide you through this, And after you do that, at the end of it, you will have a clear, defined dream vision for your life. You'll have a direction to sail to. And the importance of this cannot be minimized. The better you do this, the more detailed, the more you can actually visualize it, the more motivated, the more disciplined, and overall, the more excited you will be to make your city come to life. Now, with your city envisioned, mapped out, you can't start building right away. You must first know how to build. In other words, you must know the best practices to fulfill your plan. So, these are going to be the main practical elements of building. In other words, the main habits and actions that are going to get you to creating this personal city. And this as well is perhaps the most overwhelming part of the whole process. No matter the pursuit, no matter what you're trying to achieve, you can go right now on YouTube and type it, and you'll get a million videos giving you different approaches to it. A lot of time, approaches that contradict each other. And for most people, it's very easy to look at this and just be overwhelmed, just wanting to quit and not being able to get over the first step. So most give up here. They allow the overwhelm to shelf their plans. But not you. How you're gonna overcome this is by mastering two main skills: emotional control and critical thinking. Now, the first one will allow you not to fall prey to the fear of missing out and going ahead and buying a course that's too expensive, that's not too good, and really hindering yourself from the beginning of the process. It would also allow you not to get too anxious and overwhelmed and quit with all the information. And then for the second one, it will allow you to look at all of this information presented to you and be able to remove what's bad, add what is good, and, as Bruce Lee said, add what is uniquely your own. Now, for the first one, emotional control, it is quite simple, but not easy by any chance. What you're gonna do every day for 5 to 10 minutes, you're gonna start meditating. And I don't mean just sitting there and just, kind of going through the motions. You're really gonna meditate, gonna focus on the practice. A lot of videos you can search about it, but in essence, you sit down, you close your eyes, breathe in, breathe out, focus on what's happening inside of you, and find calm in it. 5 to 10 minutes every day. Now, for the second one, for critical thinking, what you want to do here for your pursuit is first of all understand what is generally accepted as correct. So for example, if I'm trying to lose weight, it is generally accepted by pretty much everyone that I have to be in a caloric deficit. So I have to burn more calories than I consume. There will be other information like this. It will be different for every pursuit, of course, but you want to have these down first. These are the foundation. These are the ones that you know work. Now, after you have these, you still have to fill in the gaps, because yes, you're going to be in a caloric deficit, for example, but how are you going to do that? With keto, with paleo, with another crazy diet, going vegan? What is going to be the right diet for you? Now, because most options can be right depending on the person, here is really when the critical thinking starts to play out. And to do this, I've created a framework to really help you with it. You can apply this to pretty much everything, and we're going to look at that right now. Now, with this done, there's only one thing left. So you have a vision for the city, a roadmap on how to build it, and now comes the most important part: the building itself. Now, to make your city come to light, you have to do the right habits with the proper execution consistently over a long period of time. Otherwise, no city will be built. And to be able to do this effectively, you have to essentially do, first of all, understand what are the priorities, prioritize them, and be able to get to one at a time. Because if you're always bouncing between them, progress is going to be really slow. A lot of times you're going to get demotivated, and a lot of times you will quit. Now, once you're able to prioritize and, really decide and not bounce between tasks, the second thing is you have to break down these priorities into doable tasks. So you really have to know what are the exact steps to essentially make sure the habit gets completed. This is what allows you to plan effectively and essentially act effectively. And then number 3, you have to master habit setting. Essentially the skill of taking an action and turning it into a habit by your own choice. Of really being able to plan these things, look at what you've prioritized and broken down, and then be able to sit down and be focused on it. Now, this in itself is a long topic that takes a long time to explain and also to master, but fear not. So to avoid this becoming an hour-long video, you can go below, click the Discord, join, and the free guide will be there. Go through that, learn that, ask the questions you have to ask inside the Discord, and after you'll be 100% ready to start.
Personally, I had the effort and the rules somewhat, but combining the 3 really changed how much fire I had in my belly, which in turn made me so much more excited to, above all, live, to experience all that life had to offer. The grind of work, the exhaustion of exercise, the beauty of nature, the fulfillment of good relationships, everything. I noticed, and you will too, that a lot of what I was doing was the same, but my experience of it was completely different. It was as if life was monotone and I gave it color. A color I hope you're resilient enough to get to the point where you experience it. When you do so, yes, you'll progress faster and you will attain bigger goals and dreams and all that, which is nice, yet they all pale in comparison to the main thing. Just how the Renaissance inspired generations to come and still inspires and motivates us to go and see it for ourselves, so can you inspire those around you to better themselves. You can show them that self-improvement is not a great chunk of mashed potatoes to be suffered through every day. You can elevate yourself and those who come in contact with you. One person at a time, we can begin a period of massive positive change for the world. But it all starts with you, with your vision. What are you waiting for?